Rlaarlo have produced some insanely good cars over the years. We've seen really good cars like the Omni Terminator, the MK07, and of course their really cool on-road car, which is capable of insane speed. So here in front of me, we have another brand new addition to the Rlaarlo lineup. And even though this thing looks insanely cool, let me tell you now, things aren't as they seem. Watch this review all the way through because sadly, I have identified some very serious issues with this car. It's a brand new from Rlaarlo. Here we have the XTS-S10. This is their new 1/10 scale rally car. Now we've already seen a very popular rally car from the guys at Rlaarlo, and it's one of their best ever cars yet. The XTS-F10, I absolutely love that car, and this thing is pretty much exactly the same apart from some very small changes. One of the biggest changes on this is you can now use any 190mm body that you want. You're not going to be restricted to the body that this comes with. Now because you can fit a lot of different bodies onto this chassis, it does open up a lot of customization options. I'm not going to mention any other big brands out there because of course this is a video to promote this new car, but I do like the fact that Rlaarlo have now given us that option. I think we all know what this car is based on, and sadly Rlaarlo couldn't get the licensing sorted. I did ask Rlaarlo what happened and why Subaru didn't want to go through with it all, and I don't really know the exact reason. They didn't really tell me the exact reason, but I can imagine something happened behind the scenes. Now look, I know it's not ideal, and I know we thought Rlaarlo were going down the route of licensed bodies, and that did get a lot of people excited, including myself, but for now this is the best we're going to be getting. I do love all of the impressive detail on this body, and the wheels look good too. This thing even has a proper interior, and in there we've got a driver and a co-driver, and then we've got a roll cage in the rear and a very nice spoiler on the rear as well. This does look a lot like the car it's based on. Now when you get this out the box, this is what you're presented with. It doesn't have any of the decals fitted already. You do have to do that yourself if you want to, and here they are. There is a lot to be doing. So let's take a look at how the body is actually mounted on this then, because it does feel very, very sturdy. It does have some good weight to it, this car as well. Now we get a clip at the front which we need to release. There's two clips on the side, and then it just slides off from the back. Now the problem is with a lot of these clipless bodies, they're not as easy as you may think, and sometimes they can be a bit fiddly. And to be honest, I'm a little bit old school. I actually prefer body clips, but that's just me. Now this should just slide off, and yes, it does. So let's take a closer look underneath. Now look, you can't go too far because they've kind of used the cable tie there to secure the wire, and it doesn't leave much. I mean, you could just snip that off and you'll have a bit more, but yeah, I guess they've done it because they want to make everything look as neat as possible under here. So there's a closer look under the body, and it does look like all the wires are nicely hidden away. It's a very clean and sleek looking little setup. Under here, this also looks incredibly neat and tidy. So let's take a look at some of the chassis features on this then. Now let's talk about the shocks first of all, because of course they are oil filled, they're made out of metal, and they do feel incredible. And that's pretty much what we're used to seeing from Rlaarlo now. They seem to get the basics right. Yeah, that does feel incredibly good. We have 70-75 shock towers on this. This front bumper and mounting system looks very well engineered and very sturdy. Down there we can see some more carbon bits. There we have the carbon center brace. There's a little look at the rear diffuser. And once again, everything just looks incredibly well built. So underneath there we have the metal chassis. Very thick and chunky suspension arms. Again, I do love the wheels and tyres on this. The tyre compound feels firm but grippy, so I'm very interested to see how they're going to perform on road later. So let's talk about the electronic setup on this then. Compared to the F10, this is actually using a censored system now, and the ESC on this one is an 80 amp. Now the motor on this is a 3652 3300 kV, and then of course we've got the usual Rlaarlo green heatsink with a fan up on top, exactly the same steering servo that you get on the F10. And then of course here we have the receiver box. Up on top here we have the on and off button, and that's pretty much it when it comes to this S10. If you want to check out the full details, of course I will leave a link down below so you can head over to the Rlaarlo website and check out the full spec. So let's take a look at what we get in the box with the S10. Now here we have a USB charger, pretty much your usual 3S capable USB charger. Here we have a speed pinion and some basic tools, some cable ties, some longer Velcro straps, and I do believe you can use those Velcro straps with this, which I do believe allows you to extend your battery tray. Now, as you can see down here, there is enough space to fit a 2200 milliamp hour 3S. That will fit in there perfectly, and of course you get one included in the box. Now, if you move the ESC out the way, change the location of that, and fit this kit here, you can fit a much larger pack. Here we have some stickers, and then of course a black and white manual. In the box we also get some of these. These are optional, you don't have to fit these, but I guess fitting these arch liners will keep some of the dust and grime out. Now, I'm not going to fit these, but that's what they would look like. So here we have the transmitter. Now, this thing is completely different to what we've seen in the past. Usually we see Dumbo RC inspired transmitters. This is totally different, and I'm almost certain this is their own design. I don't think I've seen this before. It is a little bit more chunky compared to the Dumbo RC, but it does feel quite nice to hold, and it does feel like it's decent quality. Got a thumb steer there as well, which can come in handy, and of course a foam grip on the wheel. There is a USB-C charging port on the back. Now, there's a USB-C charging port because you can use a rechargeable battery on this. Now, as you can see, I'm using 4 AA batteries, but you could also use a small 2S LiPo or an 18650 battery. As you can see, there is space to fit one of those, and then of course you can charge that through USB-C. I'm just going to stick to the AA's, but I do like this, and I do like that you have the option. Under here we have the usual dual rate adjustment and trim adjustment. There's also a gyro button down there, and of course an LED light button. There's also a couple more buttons up on top there, but I'm not sure at this stage what they do. Overall, this isn't too bad. I mean, I still think I prefer the Dumbo setup, but not a bad first attempt from Rlaarlo. Next up, let's have a look at the LED lights. Now, you may be able to hear the incredibly loud fan in the background. What we're going to do is hit the lamp button on the transmitter, and we can cycle through all the different modes when it comes to the lights. That looks incredibly cool. Now, of course, as you would expect, this does have indicators. Looking in the manual, it does look like there is a way to actually turn these off. Now, just like the F10, this one also has a backfire light in the exhaust tip. Check this out. How cool does that look? So that's pretty much it when it comes to the S10. Again, if you want to check out the full spec, I will leave a link down below. I know some of you are probably thinking, this looks really cool, but where is that Evo? That is a fantastic question. I'd also love to know what's going on with the Evo. Now, Rlaarlo at this time can't give me any more details, but I'm almost certain they're doing things behind the scenes to make that happen. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So I'm out on a very cold morning here in the UK to give the S10 its first run. I can barely feel my hands, but it's got to be done because, of course, you guys want to see how this thing performs. Just before coming out today, I got a message from Rlaarlo basically saying important information, and it's mostly to do with their gyro, because let me show you what happens when you switch the gyro on the transmitter. It doesn't appear that there's any adjustability when it comes to the gyro. There's not really a dial, but there's a different way to adjust the gyro sensitivity. But let me show you what happens. That is what happens, which is quite funny actually. Yeah, that needs to be turned down a little bit. And of course, whoa, like I said, there's no adjustability on the transmitter. There's a different way of actually doing that, and Rlaarlo have outlined that in the message, and we're going to take a look at that now, because yeah, that's not going to be helping anybody. If anything, that's going to be totally going against what you're trying to do, because the purpose of a gyro is to help keep everything nice and stable. So let's take a look at that now. Let's have a look at the instructions that Rlaarlo have sent to me this morning, and to be honest, I'm probably going to turn that right down. Whoa, yeah, no, that needs turning down because that is way too much input. Yeah, that's far too much input. We're going to try and turn that all the way down if we can. Right, so let's have a go at adjusting the gyro then. Now, they say to hold the gyro button down on the transmitter and then power on the car. Let's give that a go. So I've got the button held down. Let's power the car on. The car is now on. Now it should be a case, looking at their instructions, hitting the gyro button again should go through the different levels. And there's 5 levels apparently. So if we pick the car up, I'm guessing that's stock out the box. If we tap the gyro button, which I have just done, doesn't look like tapping the gyro button does anything. Doesn't appear to be adjusting. Let me try that again. I want to follow the instructions with you guys just to make sure I'm doing this properly. So I'll stick them on the screen now. Now they say hold the gyro button, which obviously the gyro button is here on the transmitter. So let's try that again. I'm holding the gyro button. And now I'm going to switch the car on. Yeah. Got steering. Yeah. Now it should be a case of pressing the gyro button again, cycling through the different levels. Pressing. No, holding it just turns it off. Holding it down again, switches it back on. It doesn't appear that I can actually change the levels. And I'm following the instructions that they've sent me. I'm a little bit confused now. Now, of course, I know this is going to be questionable by some people, like what is going on. So I'm going to try it one more time. So at least I can say to Rlaarlo, I've tried it 3 times. I couldn't get it to work. Let's turn it off. I'll tell you what, I'm going to turn the transmitter all the way off as well and power it back on, see if it makes any difference. So that is off. Hold the button down. Oh. Okay, that is back on. Now hold the gyro button down. Yeah. Maybe you have to hold them both at the same time. Let's try that. Okay. Now gyro is on. Hitting the gyro button. Doesn't appear to be doing anything. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure that that's how that works really. I don't know, but I can only go by what I'm being presented with out the box. I just sent a message to Stephen and Gav because they're also reviewing this car at the moment. I want to see what they make of this, the whole gyro thing. It's not the best. Yeah, it's not the best. Anyway, Stephen got back to me within minutes and he basically said he's spoken to Rlaarlo and this is a known issue on the influencer models, but on the final retail versions of these cars that's going to be solved and you will be able to adjust the 5 different levels. But what about now? You know, I'm trying to review this car. So let's see how fast this goes on 2S. Now I have got the gyro switched on, but I may have to switch it off because it's going to make this thing really hard to drive. As you can see there. Whoa. Yeah, it's not ideal that that can't be adjusted on these samples that have been sent out. Whoa, yeah, no, I'm going to turn the gyro off because there's no way I'm going to get a decent speed run out of this. Right, let me turn it off. So we're just going to hold the button down. Now that should be switched off. And this should drive in a straight line now. Yeah, that's better. Much better. And I just think that's kind of crazy considering the gyro's there to help you, but it in fact makes it 10 times worse with it switched on. So this is 2S right out the box. Of course, most people are going to run this on 3S, but we'll see what it does on 2S as well. Handles pretty nicely actually without the gyro switched on. And I think if that was set to, you know, a couple of levels below whatever it is out the box, I'm guessing it's on its highest setting out the box. Yeah, it drives quite smooth and nice. No complaints there. But that gyro is a real issue. Right, let's see what we got on 2S. Yeah, I do like what Rlaarlo are doing, but I do think a little bit of better quality control maybe, if they're going to go far and sort of be up there with the bigger brands, you know, your Traxxas and your Armours. I think they need to get their quality control sorted a little bit. It's not the first time we've seen issues with some of their releases, and I do like them as a brand. I've got a lot of time for them, but yeah, you know, when a car is sent to us to review, of course you have to review it as it comes. You can't sort of fix the problems that have been identified, because that's down to them to fix, not us. Right, let's see what it got on 2S, and then we'll put a 3S in there. So let's hit stop and read. So 24 miles per hour out the box on 2S. Next up, let's see what we can get on 3S. Now I'm going to switch the gyro back on, because I just want to see what it does on 3S with that gyro switched on and not being able to adjust that. Let's take a quick look. So I've now got the gyro back on. Oh no! Oh no, 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 no! There's no way you can drive this thing in a straight line fast with the gyro switched on the way it is. Whoa! Oh, Rlaarlo, what's going on? That is something that needs fixing, and that needs fixing as soon as possible. Please do not put these into production with that as an issue. I'm not really sure why YouTubers are being used as, you know, test pilots, if you will. Why is this not being done at the factory? Oh, that's horrible. Right, let's turn that gyro off and see if we can get a decent 3S run out of this. That is terrible. So I've got the gyro off now. Let's see if we can get a proper full speed run out of this. So that's full throttle. Yeah, doesn't feel as stable as 2S. I think it would definitely feel stable if the gyro was on, but at a much lower level. Yeah, this definitely needs a little bit of work. It's not quite there yet. And, you know, I appreciate this is a pre-production model, so a lot of the issues Rlaarlo will fix before they actually get the full production models out there. Right, let's see what we got on 3S. I just think if we're reviewing stuff and we need to show the viewers and the potential customers how good a product is, I think we should be getting the finished product as well. We should be getting the version that you guys are going to be getting, but who am I to question, eh? So let's hit read. So 34 miles per hour out the box on 3S. So let's give this a little off-road test. Now, I don't know how this is going to go. Hopefully very well, but that gyro switched on, and again, it just has too much input. It needs to be turned down, which of course you can't do on this pre-production model, which again I just think is crazy. Why are we not getting the finished product? So I've actually turned the gyro off because it's just not doing it any favours. There are a lot of leaves here at the moment, which is making it a little bit more difficult to test a 1/10 scale car. But I love this place and I wanted to see how it performs down here. Now this is on 3S. The lights do look cool, the indicators look a little bit silly. So actually, off-road, those tyres grip fairly well, even though they're a slightly firmer compound. Yeah, I just wish that gyro was switched on with just a little bit of stabilisation, but just switching it on just makes it a little bit undrivable. Not ideal. I just wish there was a way to turn that down so I could actually show you guys what it's like with a little bit of extra stabilisation. Now, I was actually down here yesterday with my pal Gary, and we were having a little play with the 30 degrees north, and my plan was to actually finish the review of this yesterday, but for some reason the ESC just kept turning off every time I tried to run it on 3S. Now, of course, I'm running it on the included battery, and I'm also using that battery again today. Rlaarlo said maybe try using a higher C rating pack, but then I thought, hang on, you've included that battery. That's the battery I'm going to use because I'm trying to do a proper fair review here, which is why today I'm also using the same battery. but there doesn't appear to be any issues today. Just very, very strange. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what Rlaarlo were thinking or why they thought this would be a good idea. I just feel like they've changed things when they didn't really need to. The electronics on the previous car were fine. You know, we didn't need a censored brushless system in this. The Dumbo RC transmitter and stuff was also fine. Did we really need this? Not really. It just seems to me that they've changed the formula too much and it just hasn't really worked, which is what you shouldn't do. If you've got a good formula, keep it. Yeah, not the best Rlaarlo, I have to say, and I am slightly disappointed because I'm a massive fan of your brand, and the Omni Terminator is almost always the #1 recommended car because it's just so good. This, yeah, it's unfinished, untested, and just not the best. Sorry to say. So there we go then. Sadly, a little bit of a disappointment today. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you thought this was going to be a really cool new release because the F10 was fantastic. How could they mess it up with the S10? Well, sadly they have. This thing just needs far too much work out the box. And I have identified more issues since I actually filmed the full review as well. I've made a list of those and we're going to cover those in a moment. Now first, all I want to say is, why have I received a product that is untested? Was quality control not a thing at the Rlaarlo factory? Why did no one check these cars before they were actually sent out to reviewers and YouTubers and people on Instagram, TikTok, every social media platform out there? Why have we been sent a car that's unfinished? Surely we should have been sent the car that's absolutely perfect, because essentially we're the ones who are pushing the brand, we're pushing the product, and we're trying to convince people that these products are good and you should go out and spend your money on them. How can anyone buy this thing when it doesn't perform very well at all? It doesn't even drive in a straight line with the gyro switched on. Now I appreciate this is a review sample, and Rlaarlo have quite clearly said over and over again that all of these problems will be fixed in the final production version, but I've got no way of proving that. And I've got no way of showing you guys that that's the case because I don't have the final production version. I have the pre-production version. So it's just a little bit all over the place. Now let's talk about some of the problems that I found with the S10, which were very, very disappointing actually. Now obviously the first one being the gyro. Now out the box on the reviewer samples, and pretty much every channel out there is going to be facing the same problem. And you will see that when you click on everybody's videos. The gyro's not adjustable and it's pretty much stuck on what I think is level 5. I think they're calling it level 1 through to level 5. Now it appears that it's probably stuck on level 5, which is the maximum amount of input from the gyro. It's overcompensating, so every time you touch left or right on the steering, it just overdoes everything and it just becomes a complete mess, as you would have seen in my video. So that's one of the main issues. Obviously they sent out a message, Rlaarlo sent a message out to creators. I'm pretty sure they sent the same message to everybody reviewing their cars, saying that there's a way to actually change the levels by holding the button down. Of course, I tried that 3 times and I wanted to do that on camera as well to show people that it doesn't work on the version that I have. This list is fairly long, so bear with me on this one. Now, the next thing, you would have noticed throughout the video that I didn't fit the decals on the stickers, and there is a reason for that. Firstly, from what I've heard talking to very trusted sources, other YouTubers who I'm in very close contact with, they were an absolute pain to fit. And apparently you have to remove the door handles, you have to remove the cockpit, you have to remove so many things to be able to get the decals on properly. The next problem is trying to get them all to line up. They won't. The material that they're made out of doesn't allow them to bend very easily around all the different corners on the car, such as the wheel arches. Now, I didn't want to spend 4 hours, which is how long I think it took Gav and Stephen to actually fit the decals to their cars. About 4 hours. I don't have that level of time. that 4 hours I can use to actually do something else, making, you know, another video, for example, on my very limited time. I don't have time to spend 3 to 4 hours fitting decals to a car that is supposed to be ready to run out the box, when all you really need to do is charge a battery and off you go. I shouldn't have to spend that long and taking things off and fitting things back on again. That to me isn't ready to run. That's getting close to a kit, and people are buying these cars with the intention that they're going to, you know, be able to plug a battery in and off you go. That's really not the case. And if you do like the decals and you do like the look of this car, that you would have seen it on all the promo videos that Rlaarlo have been releasing and everything else, that's not what you're getting when you open the box. What you're getting is a plain car, and you need to apply every single sticker that you see. None of that is done for you. Now, the only reason I can think they did this was because of time saving. I mean, if it took some YouTubers up to 4 hours to actually apply them all, you can imagine on a large scale operation where they're trying to get these units made up and out the door, that would take absolutely ages. Now, I can't understand why they didn't go down a different route, and I believe there is ways to actually print directly onto an RC body. We've seen it before. They could have just printed all of, or most of it, onto the body, and then you just put the last few stickers on. You know, why not do it that way? Instead, no, you have to do the whole lot, and I just think that is too much, which is why I chose to leave them off, because I've got better things to be doing with my time. Next up, we have the small battery tray. Now, they actually include the kit in the box to make the battery tray larger. You move the ESC, you fit the bigger Velcro straps, right? All of that good stuff. Now, when you look at other rally cars out there, and another competitor brand has just also released their new rally car, which will accommodate a 5,000 milliamp hour battery out the box and larger, and all the other 1/10 scale rally cars out there, you kind of think, why didn't they do this from the start? Why have they given us a tiny little 2200 milliamp hour when you'd either have to buy a whole handful of those, or you'd have to spend ages again? Bearing in mind, ready to runs are usually aimed at people fairly new to the hobby. You'd have to spend ages moving everything around and trying to fit this kit that allows you to fit the larger batteries. Again, doesn't make any sense. Why was it done? The only thing I can think of, time saving. They want to get units out the door. This list is, we're not even halfway through this list yet. The next one, the power button, is in a weird place. If you want to power the car on and off, you have to keep taking the body on and off, which, again, moving on to the body is a little bit of a difficult one. Now, earlier on, you would have seen me removing the body quite easily. I didn't have any major issues with that, but the problem was, once I got dirt on everything, once I'd actually taken the car out, and once it started to get dust and grime everywhere, it was actually becoming a lot harder to work everything because, well, of course, you're getting dust particles and everything. So the two little clips on the side, they become a little bit of a pain. Sliding it off the back becomes a little bit of a pain. The connector on the LED control board starts to bend because the way they've secured the wiring to the chassis, everything just doesn't have much play in it. So things start to bend, things start to get in the way. Not ideal. So the clipless body, I don't think was a very good idea, or it was a good idea, but it wasn't done properly. Next, the transmitter, not a massive fan. I think it's okay, but I preferred the Dumbo RC version that you get on the F10. The included arch liners that you get, they're a nice touch, but why are they not pre-fitted? Most people would prefer that they were pre-fitted, I'm going to guess, because it's just one less thing to do. But not only that, who doesn't want to keep dirt and grime out of their RC car? Everybody does, you know. So again, I think that was left out, and that was left optional because, again, it's even more work. And plus, you just get a little bit of adhesive, sort of double-sided tape. There's no way that's going to hold. There's just no way that's going to hold. So you would have to glue them in properly or screw them in to the body, which would ruin the body. Again, totally pointless. Fit them from the factory or don't bother. We've spoken about the LED control board, and then, yeah, of course, the ESC cutting out on me. So on day one when I tested it, kept cutting out. Second day, so that was actually today, because I'm finishing the video today, I didn't actually have any issues. It didn't actually cut out on me when I went out and tested it off-road. Admittedly, I wasn't pushing it too far, as you would have seen in the video. You know, I wasn't sort of going over the top with the car. But yeah, didn't have any issues to report today when it comes to the ESC cutting out. So that's the list of things that I have found wrong with the S10. I really wanted this release to be good, but sadly, it just isn't. So let me know in the comment section down below what you make of all of this. I think it's highly disappointing. Let me know what you think. Cheers for watching, see you on the next one. Take care. So a highly disappointing new release from the guys at Rlaarlo. If you want to see 2 really good cars that they've released, click one of these videos now.